Are you part of a skeleton crew? Your team might be extremely tiny, and you're trying to figure out how to make your marketing work when you're a one-person marketing department, or 3 or 5. Whatever the case, you have a small team, and you're trying to figure out exactly how to make that work for you. Well, today I'm sharing an interview I conducted with Lidia Varesco, and she taught us how to set up your systems within Canva to create quick, on-brand graphics that make you look very professional while only taking a few minutes of your time. So, by taking a couple minutes to set up your brand kits and your templates within Canva, you have years of on-brand graphics ready to quickly create that will make you look professional, make you look like you have a full agency working for you. But your secret is safe with me. It's just you. All right, join me in just a few minutes.
Hello and welcome to Tiny Marketing. I'm Sarah Noah Block and I teach small marketing departments that are tired of feeling overwhelmed and under-resourced how to build and manage effective and efficient marketing strategies that work for them. Get ready, it's time to dig in and get a big impact with your tiny team. Hello and welcome to Tiny Marketing. I am Sarah Noah Block, your host and CEO and head of content for Tiny Marketing. And today we're going to be talking about streamlining, my very favorite subject. I love to streamline systems. But today it's specifically around Canva, one of my probably most used products. Anyone who has Canva in their tech stack, you'll want to watch this. Today, I have Lidia Racoma. She is the CEO and head designer with LSV Design, and she is going to be teaching us all about how to set up your Canva account so you can streamline your systems and create on-brand graphics quickly. Get ready, get set. We're about to get started. Hey, Lidia, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks for having me here. I'm Lidia Racoma of Lidia Varesco Design in Chicago. I'm a brand strategist and a marketing designer, and I work with mission-focused organizations such as nonprofits, associations, social enterprise, and I basically help them to develop brand strategy or implement their brand strategy and really just kind of help them to make sure they are staying on brand and expressing their brand correctly and accurately.
So you work with a lot of nonprofits, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and they tend to not have massive budgets for a big marketing team.
Yes, and also not a big staff sometimes as well.
Yeah. Yeah, small staff and small resources for their marketing. So today's topic is perfect. We'll be talking about how to set up your Canva account so you can quickly and easily create on-brand graphics and save some time.
Definitely, yes. Save time and even save money.
Yes, I love saving money and time. So for everybody who's listening on the podcast, if you want to check out the video, we have Canva that we're streaming right now so you can see the screen, but Lydia's going to walk us through it and talk us through it so you can grasp what she's showing us today.
Okay, great. So what we're seeing now is the Canva dashboard. So the homepage when you first go to canva.com. So I'll give you just a quick overview for those of the viewers or listeners that have never used Canva, maybe are not familiar with it. Canva is a graphics app. So you can create any type of graphics from videos, social posts to flyers. Some people use it for creating small brochures. I predominantly use it for digital and social graphics. I think that's where it really excels because you can create those templates like Sarah had mentioned.
GIFs on here, and you can add Giphy to there if you like to use GIFs in your social media graphics. And the video editing is brand new. So that's something new to the game that people can be taking advantage of.
Definitely. Yes. Canva has a lot of really awesome integrations. So as you can see on the homepage here, There's something called the content planner, which is basically a social scheduler. So it's similar to like a Buffer, a Hootsuite. You can also integrate Canva with social schedulers like Buffer, where you can go into that scheduler and create a Canva graphic and then post it. So it's really, really awesome for digital and social graphics in that sense that you can really integrate, like you said, with Giphy, you can integrate with Buffer. And then the the editing tools are really cool. Those are kind of new as well. Maybe we need a follow-up on those too.
I know. We're going to have to do a video exclusive one. I live in Canva. I create all of my graphics in Canva. So I'm excited about this.
And you know what? I'm a designer, trained designer, and I use Canva. I realized recently, probably in the last maybe year or two, I realized that it was really useful to use it as a designer because I can create templates, as we mentioned, for my clients, for these nonprofit clients. And then they can go ahead and use those templates and create the graphics they need. So it's really, really, in my opinion, it's very, very useful when you do have that tiny marketing, small marketing team or smaller budgets to really be able to create more content and the graphics and visuals that go along with it. So,
I love it when I hire a graphic designer and she creates it, or she at least has a version in Canva, because I'm like, oh, thank God. I'm not tied to anything. I can edit this as I need. I don't have to go to someone to fix it.
Exactly. And I can show you, a few examples of things that I've created for clients as well. Okay, so let's kind of just take a quick look at the dashboard. So as you can see, Canva gives you some guidance. So up here, you can click if you wanted to just jump into creating a video or social media post. And then down here are kind of more specific channel related things like a Facebook post. You want to do a Facebook post, you want to do a presentation. You can just click and go. And it's already pre-sized. You can see the sizes are indicated below. You can also create things in any size. You can specify the size. So you're not really limited to what Canva shows you here. But on this homepage, you'll see it'll just dump all of your recent designs here, which is fine. But then you can also organize by folders. And I do highly recommend this because Canva can get kind of messy and disorganized really quickly because there's a lot of assets that are kind of thrown in there between graphics and logos and design elements. It can get a little messy. So I always encourage people to create a folder when you start a project, or create a folder for your team or your client, and then just file things. So here you can see an example of some of my folders, which are for my clients or some of my internal brand posts. But this is a great way to really get started with organizing. But if you wanted to find everything, that's in this All Your Designs folder, which is in the sidebar. You can find that. And basically everything falls in here, but you can search. So in the search bar, you can type in what you're looking for, and then it will populate with posts that have that name. So again, another good tip, make sure to name your graphics something that makes sense so that if you do need to find it later, it's easy to find. So those are just a couple of the places that you'll probably access. So that was the All Your Folders and then the All Your Designs. Those two are really important to kind of keep an eye on. The next one that we'll talk about is the brand kit. And this is what really kind of won me over to Canva when I learned about this, because I realized that you really can use it in a brand management and development capacity. So they've made it so that you can add in your brand assets and easily access them through these brand kits. And now keep in mind, it is a pro feature. I do have a Canva Pro account. So some of the things that I'm showing you are available in Canva Pro. That is the level of pricing that I generally recommend to my clients, because the free version, you can do some stuff. You can actually have quite a few people on your team. However, you don't get as many features like brand kit. You don't get as many of the animation features or templates or design elements. So I usually will suggest people to look into that pro membership, which is very affordable. And if you are a nonprofit or an education organization, they do offer discounts.
Oh, nice. It's only like $10 normally.
Yes.
I'm obsessed with these brand kits while we're talking about it. Each of my clients has their own brand kit, and my Canva, it's such a lifesaver. It saves so much time.
Oh my gosh. Like I said, this is what really won me over, where I said, okay, I guess I'll start using Canva, even though I can do all of this in my Adobe applications, which I do. I actually have kind of a combined workflow. So I create a lot of my graphics in Illustrator and then bring them into Canva. So they're really, you really can create your own designs. People sometimes think, oh, Canva is just templates. Everything's going to look the same. But you can really create your own designs with, a little bit of help from a designer, or if you have someone on staff, you can create really great, unique templates. So here we are in the brand kit. This is
so, yeah, they could hire someone like you or you to create templates in Canva. They'll look completely original and on brand. I like that idea.
Yes, that's exactly what I do for my clients. A lot of the clients that I produce event branding for, this is exactly what we use Canva for. So I will create the, speaker slide templates, or, speaking of slides, even like a slide presentation. So there's a lot of ways that I can create those templates for my client, and then they can have it in their Canva and they can access them and use them. So this way I can spend my time doing more of the strategic, conceptual work, which is what I love and have a passion for. Yeah. And then they can use their time more wisely. Instead of paying me to create 50 social graphics, they can create it on their end, and they know that it will be on brand and it will be, expressing their mission. And so it's great. It's really been a nice way to utilize it.
While we're talking about brand kits, I want to point out that if you have a font that you use for your brand that's not in Canva, you can upload it and you can use it in Canva. And all of your colors, you can use the color code and put it in there so it's the exact right color, and it's not some random color that's close, but not quite. It's your exact color.
Yep. And this was so exciting to me because, of course, being a graphic designer, I have a very specific brand font. As you can see here, it's called Mr. Eves. My logo is a font called Mrs. Eves. So it was really exciting to me when I looked and I said, oh my gosh, I can upload my font. So it's right down here is where you just click upload a font. And then you choose the font out of your library. You want it to be a font that you own, that you have purchased, and you can upload it. So it's really great. And then, as you mentioned, Sarah, the palettes are over here on the right side of the brand kit, and you can add them in, as you said, by the color. If like the hex code or the RGB code, you can add it in that way, or you can just, find a palette. Like if you are not that specific with your colors like I am, you might just say, oh, this looks like the blue that we use or the purple, or maybe you're just kind of developing your branding, and then you can kind of look through and find palettes that might be useful for you. And that actually brings me to another point, is that the brand kit doesn't have to be used just for a brand. It could be used for a campaign or for a project. So
that's a good point. You said you do a lot of events, so they probably have their own brand guidelines for those specific events.
Exactly. Yes. We usually do create like a mini brand guide for events. So you can do the same thing. You can have a brand kit for that event with those colors, with the logos, with the fonts. So it's a really great way to utilize the brand kit. And the good news is that I think they originally only allowed 2 with the pro membership, but now there's, oh gosh, I should have that number handy, but there are more. I want to say it was like 40 or
there's a lot. I have one for all of my clients.
Yeah, it's great. Like I know at first I was thinking like, oh my gosh, how can you only have like 1 or 2? So they definitely, listened to their users and they expanded it, which is great. So you can use the brand kit for projects, for events, to really keep everything on brand. So let's now jump over to looking at creating a design and how we can utilize the brand kit to help us stay on brand. So I'm back on the homepage now, and I'll just click create a design, which is up at the top. So that's kind of, if you just want to start somewhere, you don't necessarily know where, you can start there. And then it gives you a whole list of different things that you can post. So let's choose Instagram post. So now we get basically just a blank page to start with. So let's start with a template just to see how you can use a template, but also customize it with the brand kit once you have it loaded into Canva. So I'm going to click on this graphic, which is a Thanksgiving graphic. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. So now I've pulled up a template, which is just a Thanksgiving graphic, just to show you how you can start with a template and still customize it. So once you click on the graphic, the illustration portion of it, you'll see that it's pulled up the color palette here. So what I can do is I can click on those and change those. So now if I say, okay, I want this to really match my branding, my colors, here's my brand kit. So here's my palette. So I can just click and it's just going to start automatically changing those colors. So I can basically just change all the colors to match my branding really quickly and easily. And the background can also change as well. So then you might say, well, this isn't really the font I use. Maybe I want to use a different font that's my brand font. So then we would go to text, and the same thing. You'll see in the sidebar here that my brand kit pops up. So it shows me the fonts. It shows me the fonts that I've specified in the brand kit as my heading, subheading, and then they call a little bit of body text. So I can say, okay, maybe I want to just add a little bit of body text in my font. So I can say, Happy Thanksgiving from Lidia Varesco Design, and add that in my font. So then I know that, okay, I'm staying on brand. I've used brand colors, and now I'm using my brand font to really start to customize this. And then to take it a step further, I can say, well, I want to add my logo too, so that people know it's coming from me. So then you go down to logos in the sidebar. It's towards the bottom. When you click on that, again, you see your brand kit, and it's already pre-populated all of the different variations of my logo. And as you can see, I've loaded all the different versions. I have, just the sun. I have my horizontal version, my stacked version, my version that's reversed out in white, and then my standard logo. So you want to make sure when you do set up your brand kit that you do add all the different versions of your logo to make sure you have it when you need it. So here I can say, all right, I want to add my logo, go in, maybe resize it. I can even remove one of the design elements. So I can say, well, maybe I want to take this heart out and put my logo there instead. So you can see, even though you've started with a template, you really can customize it. And it no longer looks like the generic Canva template because it's matching with your brand colors. You've added your logo, maybe some fonts. So it's a nice way to utilize the brand kit with a template if you are short on time. So now let's go back to the homepage. Sometimes Canva's a little slow in populating, but on the homepage, you would see that new design. So that would show up there. So now let's go ahead and create another new design. So I'll go back up to create a design in the upper right corner, the purple button. We'll make another Instagram post.
If, let's say, you made this Thanksgiving post and you're super into it, you're going to use it multiple times, how do you make it a template so it's quick to access?
Yes. So let's see, let me go back to this one. That's one of my big pet peeves with Canva, that it always opens up a new window.
I always set everything up to open in a different window because I'm like, I have 1,000 tabs open every time.
I know, I do too. No more windows. Okay, so let's go back to this one. Okay, so here's our Thanksgiving post that we created and customized based on the Canva template that you can see over here on the left. So we customized the colors and the fonts and added my logo. So now if you wanted to make it a template, there's a couple different ways. So you could just use this graphic as a template. So you can click on resize to create a new one. Now the resize function is only available in Canva Pro accounts. So something to keep in mind. So say, I want to use this as a template and then create a Facebook post. Then you would just go to Facebook post, copy and resize, and it would create a new version of it in a different size. So that's one way that you can basically just use the original image as your template and then just create additional images, graphics based on that one by doing resizing or, making a copy. When you're on the homepage, you can click on any of the graphics and select make a copy. Now, if you really wanted it to be a true template that others can use, that's when you want to go up to the share button, which is up at the top in that purple gradient bar. And this is where you can select who you want to share it with. You can type in their name if they're on your team, or you can type in their email address. And then down here at the bottom, you can see it gives you the option. You can share that link so that that person can edit it, or you can share the link that they can use it as a template. So that means when they receive the file, it's a copy of the file. It's not the actual file. Like, in some cases, maybe you do want the person to edit, but in most cases you don't. You want them to just take that file and copy it and use it to create their own. So that's generally what I use when I use Canva with my clients. I will send them the template and then they can use that to create the images they need. And there's also, I should mention, there's an option to share a link to view. So if you were sending to someone or to a team for approval and you don't want people to go in and move things around and change things, then you can use that option to share a link to view, which is nice because then you know that it's not going to get touched and it will stay as is. So this is all found under share, which is up at the top right. Okay, so now let's go back to the homepage. Okay, so now we will start a design from scratch using the brand kit. So first you want to start out with your color palette. So when you click on the blank box that pops up, you'll see a little color box here. So when you click on that one, that's when you will be able to access your brand kit again. So here's our palette. So I can select a color from the palette that I want as my background color. And then I can go in to my logos, which again is at the left sidebar towards the bottom is logos. So then I can select the logo, move it around. One of the nice features about Canva is that it does have the snap to guides built in. So it will snap the image directly to the center, which is really useful to get things lined up. So then we'll go to text, which is again in that left sidebar towards the top. And then I can go ahead and click on add a heading. So I can say hello. And once I add that heading, I can go ahead and move it around. And again, I can change the color. So up at the top, you'll see there's the text color. When you click on that, I can go in and pick from my brand colors. So I can add my text. I can add my subheading if I want to add more text. And again, Canva is pretty easy. You just kind of pull the corners to change the sizes. Although you can also change the sizes manually. You can just go in and type in a number, which is also handy. And then you can also change, if you want it to be centered, justified left, justified right. So now you can see it's starting to come together with your brand colors, with your brand fonts, and then you can start to create more of a design. So if you wanted to add some sort of shape, so along the sidebar, there's something called elements. So that's where you can click and you can say, well, maybe I want to put like a border, and then you can just start creating the design using the different elements. And again, you're clicking in the color box to access your colors. You're able to change the colors. You're able to change the fonts, move things around. And then you have that branded graphic that you've created using your brand fonts, your brand color palette, your logos, other design elements. You can see, and again, like with the Canva Pro account, you get access to more types of graphics or photos. You can access stock photos, things like that you can start building out your templates. So let's go back to the home page, and then I can show you an example of templates that I've created for my business. So I'm going to the all your folders. So I've created some templates that I use after I present a webinar. So I usually will, before I present a webinar and after I present a webinar, I like to ask questions of people just to kind of inform what I'll be talking about, get ideas. So I've created all these templates that I've used for adding to social media when I do my webinars. So you can see like, if I click on this, I've got my background, I've got my logo, I have my font, got my tag there. And then each time I do a webinar, all I have to do is just duplicate. And then I can go in and just change text.
And note that she has these all in a folder, webinar follow-up. So it's easy for her to access. It's all about organization when you're trying to systemize and save some time by doing these brand kits ahead of time, by using the folders and actually using them, putting your graphics in there. You'll save a ton of time.
Definitely. And it's one of those things that, I know that it's worthwhile for me to do this. I get engagement. I get great ideas when people, respond to the questions. And, prior to using Canva, I may not have done this because it would have been too much trouble to, go into Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop each time and create a graphic and export it. But this way I've made it so easy, and I've created a workflow that I can even have like my VA do it. I can just send her a couple of questions like, okay, can you put together 3 graphics for my next webinar? Here's the text for the questions. She knows to go in that she can go in and change it. So one can be blue, one can be coral, one can be the darker blue, and the fonts are there. I don't have to worry about the fonts changing. You can even go into Canva and you can lock elements. So you can lock your background so that doesn't get moved.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yes, which is great because in some of the templates that I've designed for my clients, I wanted to make sure that things don't get moved around and out of place. So then I could go in and lock the background. And this way, they can move around the text if they want, but the rest of the elements stay put. So it works out really well.
Yeah, that's super helpful. So like my takeaways from this talk is that we need to create good brand kits, like upload the right fonts, use the right color codes, have everything in one place. By doing that legwork ahead of time, you'll save yourself time forever, as long as you're working with that company.
Yes.
And then creating your brand, the folders. So maybe a good way to organize them is by social media platform, by event, by campaign, but creating those folders so it's easy to access everything, killer.
Yes, definitely.
And then the templates, having set templates. So you're creating you have these custom graphics, but they're like super easy to do.
Yes. Exactly. And so that anyone can do them. So if you have maybe like an intern working in your office, or if you have a VA working for you, this way it's easy for them to go in and use those templates and use those assets. And you don't have to go through all the trouble of like, oh, this is my font. Oh, this is my color. This is my logo. It's all there for them. Like it really does. When I think about how much time I've spent in my career sending people logos and fonts and colors, and it really does make it so much quicker and easier.
That is an excellent point. It is a time saver because you can actually delegate it and have it done right away, because there's no question about what font you use, what color you use, what logos you use. It's all in one place and it's just super easy. So small teams can delegate that graphic creation to a VA or an assistant or whoever has the time to be able to take that on.
Yes. And that person can also batch create, which is also super helpful. So if you know that you're doing a campaign that will be running weekly for 2 months, you can have that person create, that would be 8 graphics, so that they can basically create all the graphics for that campaign all at once. Just save them, download them, save them somewhere, and you have it all ready. And then whoever will be scheduling it, sometimes it's the same person, they can design the graphics, they can schedule it, and you have 2 months worth of content that's done. And it's just such a time saver. I know you know that, Sarah, because you talk about that.
I love some time saving tips, and you can schedule it right on Canva too.
Yep.
So you don't have to download it if you don't want to. You could just schedule it out on there.
Yep. And I just started testing that. Like I said, I use Buffer, and Buffer does have an integration. So I can go into Buffer and it will take me to Canva to create a graphic and then bring me back to Buffer to post it. So if I wanted to, I could do it that way. But I have been testing posting directly from Canva just because it's an interesting feature.
Yeah, I've done it a couple times for my own personal accounts and it works just fine.
Right.
No issues.
Yeah. It's a time saver.
Yeah, it is for sure. So can you tell everyone how people can, one, find you online and how they can work with you?
Yes, definitely. So you can find me on social media at LSV Design, and you can also find me at lsvdesign.com. So either way is a great way to connect with me. LinkedIn is great. I'm very, very active on LinkedIn. So that's, you can connect with me there or chat with me there. And, as I mentioned, I work with organizations to everything from developing their brand strategy to actually implementing it. So everything from creating the brand and the messaging to creating the marketing and communications pieces to go along with it, to developing those brand standards, brand guides. And, like I said, now I also have started helping my clients with creating their brand kit in Canva, creating templates for them in Canva. So that's also a service that I can help with.
That is awesome and such a need, especially for a company that might not have the bandwidth or the resources to be able to have like an in-house creative director or even graphic designer. You got it down.
Definitely. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Sarah. I always love collaborating with you. And I was excited to talk a little bit more about Canva and hopefully help people to start using it more for their brand graphics as well.
Yeah, I think you made it so easy and people are going to have a way easier time being able to set up their Canva for success. And I hope I can have you on again and we can talk about Canva video, how to use that.
Yes, definitely. That's something that I've been using quite a bit with my clients, with my nonprofit clients. So I'm happy to come back and chat about that.
Awesome. I will talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey folks, thank you for joining me and Lidia Racoma Varesco as we talked all about how to create a brand kit within Canva. Honestly, you can make this incredibly easy for yourself. Save yourself hours every month by just spending a little bit of time and setting up your brand kit, setting up some templates so your graphics look the same across the board, and using folders to organize your graphics so they're easy to find. Canva is the perfect place to do this. You can invite your entire team and you can organize everything right there. So even for those of you with tiny, tiny teams and tiny, tiny resources, you're able to get consistent on-brand graphics across the board using Canva. All it takes is about an hour of time to set up your systems ahead of time. So I hope you enjoyed learning all about that. And don't forget, follow me and Lidia on LinkedIn. You can find me at Sarah Noel Block. You can find Lidia at Lidia Racoma Varesco, and sign up for our weekly newsletter that comes out every Tuesday. Go to sarahnoelblock.com/newsletter and you'll get the updates. You'll get the clickety-clack, the lowdown on when our next podcast comes out, when our video interviews come out, all that jazz. All right. Thank you for joining me. I love you. I love your faces. Don't ever change. Hello, and thank you for joining Tiny Marketing. I help tiny marketing departments create consistent content that builds trust with their audience. Book done-for-you content marketing at sarahnoelblock.com. Don't forget to follow, rate, and review the podcast on your favorite podcast app. See you next time, friends.